Please rise for invocation, followed by the roll call for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor.
Good evening, Mayor Burnett, councilmen, and everyone here tonight and online. It's a privilege to be together. Would you join me in prayer as you are comfortable? Almighty God, everlasting Father, wonderful Counselor, Prince of Peace, I thank you for a council that seeks your wisdom, oh God, and we pray for your wisdom. We thank you for the joy of living in this beautiful place. God, we cry out to you for Ukraine tonight, that you would just help them and protect them, and even send down angel armies to protect them and help them. Lord, we thank you that COVID is receding. We thank you for healing so many who dealt with it, and we pray for your continued comfort for those who did lose anyone during this time. We thank you for unity in this city. We thank you for shared vision, peace, joy, health, safety, and protection over our first responders and our law enforcement, and blessings on all our healthcare workers as they work so hard to take such good care of us. We lift this time up to you. We lift this city up to you. And we thank you for the joy and the privilege of sharing life together in Port Orange, Florida. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I love hearing young voices giving the pledge.
I was just going to say that was awesome.
That was the one that stood out the most to me. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Foley. Councilmember Tremont.
Here.
Councilmember Bastian.
Here.
Vice Mayor Silver.
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Here. Item 4, Port Orange Firefighter and Police Officer of the Year recognition. Wayne?
Each chief will come up and present them for you.
Well, it says fire first, so I should see Chief Wolfing running up here, right?
Good evening. Joe Wolfing, Fire Chief. We're here to announce the award for Lieutenant Ben Walker as our Firefighter of the Year. He's been selected by his peers this year. Lieutenant Walker joined the department in 2012 and has shown tremendous dedication to our department throughout his tenure. Lieutenant Walker is a leader and a well-respected company officer despite his short tenure in the formal position. Over the years, Ben has shown many attributes that have led to him being an outstanding employee. For example, he displays professionalism, he's motivated, honest, courageous, energetic, responsible, and kind. Still, his commitment to the community and his fellow firefighters is the primary reason for his selection. In addition to all that said, Lieutenant Walker serves on various training committees, technical rescue team, apparatus committee, and the department's wellness committee. So, without further ado, our Firefighter of the Year, Ben Walker.
Nice.
Council, would you join me down below?
We all going down for the picture?
You didn't bring a picture?
No, no picture.
You didn't bring it? Big old thing?
No, that's there.
No, you stay.
Thank you.
I try to stand behind the chief, it makes me look younger.
What do you think I'm standing next to him? Jen, one more time, I just want to thank you and
You always get me.
everybody. When we recognize the best of the best, we're not just recognizing one person, we're recognizing an entire department and what they do. It's just what you represent in all of them. So, one more time, if everybody. And if Chief Marino would come up and do the honors.
Thank you, Mayor. It's weird you're addressing you this close this time. Mayor, Vice Mayor.
Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilman, City Manager, City Attorney, Department Heads, and guests. Manny Marino, Chief of Police, and it's my distinct pleasure and honor tonight to present to you the Officer of the Year for 2021. First, I'd like to tell you that the decision was very difficult, which is a great thing for me. If you saw the submissions from the patrol platoons, from Special Investigations Unit, the work was phenomenal, which makes the selection of our Officer of the Year, Detective Kelsey Nugent, even more amazing. I'd like to read to you the nomination for Detective Nugent. Detective Kelsey Nugent is in the Criminal Investigations Division nominee for Officer of the Year. During the past year, Detective Nugent was assigned to the division with a substantial caseload. Detective Nugent investigated her assigned cases while working outside details and picking up cases on her own. She was the lead detective involving the suspicious death of an 11-month-old that she continued to work while handling her caseload. The case was worked over several months and with having to track down suspects several times for additional interviews. She attended a meeting with the medical examiner to further the case and ultimately obtained arrest warrants on the child's mother and boyfriend. Both subjects are incarcerated at this time awaiting trial. Detective Nugent also took over a patrol case regarding video voyeurism, that she was able to obtain a search warrant for the video on a storage device and confirm the voyeurism charges. She then obtained a search warrant for the residence of the subject and collected over 70 items that are currently being analyzed for further evidence and possible new charges of child pornography. The subject in this case was interviewed and subsequently arrested by Detective Nugent, bringing some closure to the victim, who has been in constant contact with Detective Nugent throughout the case. She has also identified other victims and continues to investigate and review the evidence. Detective Nugent worked a missing juvenile case where the female had left the area to Pensacola, Florida, and had been the subject of human trafficking in the past. The female continued to change her location and social media accounts to keep police from tracking her for approximately 3 weeks. Detective Nugent continued to work the case daily, involving multiple agencies in the Pensacola area. She was able to locate a subject in Pensacola area that was willing to provide information on the female's whereabouts. The female was subsequently located and taken into custody by Escambia County Sheriff's Office and DCF. The citations for the cases that Detective Nugent goes on and on. I can tell you, in addition to her workload and the things that she does on her own time, she also volunteered to assist us with our social media presence. She's done a phenomenal job with that. In fact, one of her posts around Valentine's Day garnered over 2,500 likes and was shared over 3,000 times just from her creativity. So Detective Nugent works well with her colleagues as a team player. She's always there to assist other detectives and patrol officers in any way while handling her own cases. She is a standout within the agency with her willingness to assist patrol with staffing issues and her commitment to cases and the citizens of Port Orange. And I'd also like to point out that this is her second time being selected as the Officer of the Year. So congratulations, Detective Kelsey Nugent.
You brought help.
Yes.
See, the last time you won this award, you had a different last name. You're still a Hyam.
Yes.
So, the only thing I can say is that you not only exemplify the excellence of the department, but you're a wonderful representative of it. But as a two-time award winner, it's pretty cool to hear the competitiveness back in the back of the room of the other people who want to catch up to that. So I think that's a wonderful thing. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Kind of make her evolve into the Tom Brady of the Officer of the Year award.
That'd be a big signing bonus.
Right? Congrats.
Okay.
Come on up, Steve. At this point, we recess council and reconvene as the town center CRA.
Oh, there.
Yep, I got a proclamation. I had, in mind, I had to do two things, and we did two things down there, so it's like, where's our new finance director? Is he in the house? Come on up. As we celebrate Government Finance Professionals Week, I thought it'd also be a good time for you to introduce yourself to everybody.
Mayor, Council, my name is John McKinney, Finance Director for the City of Port Orange, and it's also seeing that I'm on the Board of Directors of the Florida Government Finance Officers Association and put this into play 2.5 years ago. It's awesome when we actually get to receive it, so yes.
Well, here you go. And welcome to the City of Port
Thank
Orange.
you.
We're glad to have you. Whereas Florida Government Finance Officers Association is a professional association founded in 1937 and serves more than 3,300 professionals from state, county, and city governments, school districts, colleges and universities, special districts, and private firms. And whereas FGFOA is dedicated to being a professional resource by providing opportunities through education, networking, leadership, and information. And whereas this inaugural Government Finance Professionals Week, inaugural meaning the first one of many, sponsored by the FGFOA and all of its member governmental organizations, is a week-long series of activities aimed at recognizing government finance professionals and the vital services that they provide to our state and our community. And whereas during this week, government finance professionals through the state of Florida will be acknowledged for their hard work, dedication, and leadership. Now, therefore, I, Donald Burnett, Mayor of the City of Port Orange, Florida, hereby proclaim the week of March 14th to the 18th, 2022 as Government Finance Professionals Week in the City of Port Orange, and extend our appreciation to all government finance professionals throughout the state and here in the City of Port Orange for their hard work, dedication, and leadership. And with my signature and the seal of the city, it is so declared.
Thank you. Me and the other 35 members of finance appreciate this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Not to be undersold, this is the department that makes sure everybody else does what they're supposed to be doing within the confines of the way we're supposed to be doing it. They are the watchers of the taxpayers' investment in this community. So it is an absolute vital role, and we're glad to have you along on board to
Thank you,
to
sir.
guide us.
I appreciate it.
You betcha. Okay, Robin, I can do it now? Okay, now I'm going to recess the city council meeting and initiate the Town Center CRA regular meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Michael Benedict, Reed Foley, Chase Claymont,
Here.
Scott Stiltner.
Here.
Drew Bastian.
Here.
Donald Burnett,
Here.
Chairman Stan Schmidt.
Here. First order up for bids is the election of a chairman. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Mr. Stan Schmidt to be the chair.
Second.
Wow.
Come on, give these other guys a chance.
Second, third.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other nominations?
Nope.
Like to nominate Stan
Hearing
Schmidt.
none. Do you want to just,
Motion to close all other nominations?
Second.
Shall we call roll, sir?
Yes, please.
Chase Claymont,
Yes.
Scott Stiltner.
Yes.
Drew Bastian.
Yes.
Don Burnett,
Yes.
Stan Schmidt.
Yes.
You better say yes.
Well. Next motion is the election of a vice chairman. Do I have
I
a
would like to
motion?
nominate Mr. Scott Stiltner. Second.
Third.
Anybody else? Can I have a motion for acclamation on that one?
Chase Claymont,
Yes.
Scott Stiltner,
Yes.
Drew Bastian.
Yes.
Don Burnett,
Yes.
Stan Schmidt.
Yes. Do I have any objections to the notice of the meeting? Hearing no objection, the notice is accepted. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 8th joint meeting with the city council?
So moved.
Second.
We need a roll call on this?
No.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Looks like we got 6-0. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 21st joint special meeting with the city council?
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Nothing? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion carries 6-0. Item 5 is the Port Orange Town Center CRA Annual Report for fiscal year 2021.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to motion to approve the report that's was in our packet for presentation.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the annual report as presented in our packet. Any discussion? Do you want a roll call on that, Madam Clerk?
Any public comments?
Public, okay, sorry. Any public comments? Any board comments? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chase Tremont,
Yes.
Scott Stiltner.
Yes.
Drew Bastian.
Yes.
John Burnett.
Yes.
Dan Schmidt.
Yes. Okay, do I have a motion to accept we already did that, Town Center Redevelopment Agency.
Number 8.
We're skipping ahead here.
So you're chugging right along.
I lost track, we're going so fast.
Mhm.
We're gonna open up items 6 and 7 together for discussion, and then there will be a motion for each item. Item 6 is the Fourth Amendment to the Property Exchange Agreement for the former Cardwell Funeral Home property. Item 7 is the Third Amendment to the escrow agreement for the former Cardwell Funeral Home property.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to go ahead and read both motions.
Thank you, sir.
So that we can get a motion second. So technically, we're following Robert's Rules of Order, so they'll be open for discussion. Move to approve the Fourth Amendment for the property exchange agreement with which refers to the Cardwell Funeral Home property, subject to the City Council approval of the same, authorizing the City Manager and City Attorney to finalize the post-closing agreement, authorizing the Chairman and City Clerk to sign all necessary documents on behalf of the Town Center CRA in furtherance of the transfer of the Cardwell Funeral Home property.
Is there a second?
You have a motion, a second, and the other motion, I'd like to move to approve the Third Amendment to the escrow agreement, subject to removing the language releasing the $48,000 cash bond and authorizing the Chairman and City Clerk to sign all necessary documents related to the escrow agreement.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, we have proper motions and seconds on the floor for items 6 and 7. We hear from the city staff.
Thank you. Margaret Tomlinson, Engineering Manager. So you have 2 items before you that we're presenting together because they work in tandem with each other. One item is the property exchange agreement, the amendment to that, which transfers the Cardwell property by bonding the Phase 1 site improvements east of the public trail in lieu of completing them by March 21st. The graphic that you see on the screen shows the Phase 1 limits. The green portion is that Phase 1 portion east of the public trail. The pink is west of the public trail. The hatched rectangular area at the bottom left-hand corner is the Cardwell property. I should mention that in addition to the east side improvements being bonded, there's one item on the west side. It's an FPL guy wire that's coming off of their power pole that is in the sidewalk currently. Removal of that is outside of the contractor's control, so that's been included in the bonding agreement. This graphic shows you kind of a close-up of the Fish Restaurant and the improvements that would be part of that bond. Sidewalks, landscape irrigation, a little bit of swales, drainage, some lighting, and some site furnishings. And staff really is supporting this bonding of these improvements because of a couple of things. First, it logically makes sense for normal construction sequencing to finish the Fish Restaurant before you actually put in all of these improvements that are adjacent to the construction of the restaurant. And secondly, the stormwater system for the Fish project is dependent on the Cardwell property. So transferring that Cardwell property over to HRP makes sense in the grand scheme of their stormwater system and being able to open the Fish Restaurant as fast as possible. The second item that you have before you is the amendment to the escrow agreement. And this is actually in two parts. The first part is just providing consistency with the property exchange agreement, putting in that language about bonding those improvements that wouldn't be finished by March 21st. And then the second part is a request by the applicant to allow the $48,000 cash bond to be released by the city to HRP. And that's also based on this whole phase 1 site improvements east of the public trail being bonded in lieu of completion of the March 21st deadline.
Margaret, can I just interrupt you right there?
Sure.
Just I want to be clear that the motion on the floor does not include that request.
You're
We would
correct.
have to make a separate motion if we were to do that.
Well, the motion
Well-
that you have before you excludes the $48,000 bond release. So in other words, if you read the motion the way it's worded.
We're not addressing it.
You would
as
not be
is.
giving the money back.
Okay.
That's
So
correct.
we'd have to take separate action. I
Correct.
just want to make sure that we're all very clear on where we are at this point in time.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep,
Sorry.
You're welcome. Also, staff's not supporting the release of the $48,000 because it directly conflicts with the master development agreement that's in place. The master development agreement basically says that all of the phase 1 improvements, including the fish bar and grill restaurant, are to be completed by March 21st, which is Monday, in order for release of that $48,000. So again, I just want to summarize that staff supports the Fourth Amendment to the Property Exchange Agreement. Staff supports the Third Amendment to the Escrow Agreement for the language that provides the consistency between the two agreements, allowing the bonding. But staff is not in support of release of the $48,000 cash bond. Do you have any questions for me?
Pretty clear.
Anybody?
It's clear.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the public?
Got two.
Somebody come on up.
Go ahead, Robert.
Come on, Robert. You
Come on,
go.
Robert.
You're the leadoff batter, Robert.
Council members or commission members. Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive, Port Orange. I don't understand what's happening. I would recommend that, as I understand it, if he doesn't make the deadline, then he loses the $48,000 that's already bonded.
Correct.
Okay, so I recommend that we let him lose that and put up another $48,000 for the next session, for the extension.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's being held up by the fish restaurant, then I would recommend that he go to Fish and have them reimburse him. Thank you.
Jeff, I'm sorry. Come on up.
Mr. Chairman, members of the CRA, Jeff Brock, 444 Seabreeze Boulevard, Suite 900, Daytona Beach, Florida, representing the developer Halifax River Partners and its principal Joe Antanosowski, who is here tonight, along with the engineer of record Parker Mitchenberg. We are
Heard of that
asking
guy.
who is that guy? Yeah. Asking two things for this evening. One, on the property exchange agreement to be able to bond off improvements east of the trail. It doesn't make a lot of sense to build the sidewalk to have it torn up because of Fish being under construction. And even if it was built, we couldn't open it up for the public to use because it's an active construction site, so there'd be a chain link fence anyways. So we're proposing a bond with a 6 months duration for 150% of the engineer estimate of the cost to do the work east of the park. It is mostly the sidewalk. There is some landscaping and a little bit of a swale work there, but it's really, that's the bulk of it, is a sidewalk that goes around the point that the general public can walk around the point without having to actually be a patron of the restaurant. And we talked about that during the early stages of this. When the property exchange agreement was originally drafted back in 2016, the deal was an exchange for the linear park being constructed and conveyed to the city in exchange for the Cardwell property. The park was built, it was exchanged, and with the revisions to the various documents, we also agreed to build what's called the Phase 1 site improvements. And the thought was to build the parking lot, get that out there so the general public could use it when the restaurant wasn't for some of your events that you hold down by the water. That has now been constructed. The associated landscaping, underground utilities, associated stormwater is all done. There's even a trash bin, whatever you call it, what is it? The dumpster area has been constructed. I believe the down guy that was mentioned earlier has also been removed. So we're really just talking about the part east of the trail. And again, we're going to post a performance bond that you can call. So, and it's only a 6 months duration. So we are not asking for an extension. We're just asking to finalize and put the property exchange to bed. We do have some improvements that have been constructed on the Cardwell site as far as stormwater management. The second item is the release of the cash bond. Originally that cash bond was put up because it was equal to 2 years worth of rent of the Cardwell property. If we demolished it and then we never built you the park, that was your security that we would build the park. And of course we did. And that bond was also extended to be with the Phase 1 improvements. I don't believe we actually had a conversation about that bond being linked to the vertical construction, but that is what the development agreement says. I believe this, I think the staff did not support this request because they believe that we need to go through the MDA amendment process and go to planning board and go through that process. I believe it is a business decision for this board and the council, mostly the council, to make the decision that that was not the intent. It was to have it linked to the vertical construction and only to be the Phase 1 site improvements, not the Phase 1 improvements. And that's our request, is to have that cash bond released when the property exchange closing occurs. We are, like I said, we've got the Phase 1 site improvements done, except for the improvements, horizontal improvements east of the linear park. Do you need to say something?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Parker Minchenberg, 1729 Ridgewood Avenue. I got to admit, when I'm coming beachside over the bridge, I'm seeing an icon for the city of Port Orange. Been a long
Construction project?
Yeah. It's going to be a beautiful thing.
It's iconic, all right.
I'm anxious to see it come to completion. I probably don't need to explain to the commission what's happening with construction nowadays. I have a project myself that's a number of months behind. Joseph has really put the extra effort in the last few months to accomplish the Phase 1 improvements that are west of the park. So, the first item here is posting a bond to put in some storm drains, roof drain connections to a swale, sidewalk, and the landscaping that'll be right next to the fish restaurant. Doesn't really make sense to put those improvements in when you're scaffolding and trying to finish the walls. I think the second item relates to the cash bond was put up, my understanding, for a couple years of rent for the Cardwell property if the trail didn't get built. I think the language in the MDA does reflect that the fish restaurant should be completed, but I think the ask is, Joseph paid me to design it, he constructed it, the trail's been in for a while, and he'd like to get that money released back to him. And I think with that, I'm here to answer any questions I can.
Any questions? Drew, nothing?
No, I don't
Scott?
have any.
Mr. Mayor?
And I guess the other ask would be an amendment to the motion that's on the floor.
I mean, I don't have any questions. I have no problem with the request, the first one. I don't really have an intention of supporting the release of the bond. I didn't approve the extension the first go around. But I have no problem with with posting another bond.
Any other questions, comments?
I have final comments, but I'll reserve those after the Q&A is done.
Anything else for Mr. Brock? Okay.
Did you
Any
get all-
other?
Did you get all the public participate?
I was just going to ask if we had any other members of the public that wish to comment on this? Okay. Apparently not.
Final comments?
Final comments.
I was just going to kind of echo a little bit about what Chase said, because the MDA was put in place for a reason. And the language of the MDA was clear enough to where a non-lawyer type like me could understand it. So I would have assumed that all of those who deal with those things on people deal with those things on a much more daily basis than what we do, ought to be able to understand the responsibility there. I am not unsympathetic to what's going on in construction industry, but I also understand that we've already given one extension, and at that time we asked if that was enough time as well. You got to have deadlines. So this is kind of a tough one for me, but at some point in time, that money was put up to protect the taxpayers. So, and to see that our interests as the taxpayers of the city were met, and to protect them if they weren't in a timely basis. So I am weighing that along with the reality of what's going on right now. Also knowing that this is not the first request that's been made along the lines of an extension. We've been there.
Any other comments?
No, my only comment would be to echo the mayor, and I think that the council holistically has been very, very, very flexible with extensions in the past. I would also say that I think our staff has gone over and above to watch the project and do everything possible to guide the project along to meet all of the timelines. I know as the elected officials, we all probably ride by that project weekly, if definitely not multiple times a week, and for really, really, really long periods of time. And I can appreciate Mr. Mitchenberg's comments about the challenges in construction. But we've also seen a ton of construction projects all over the city of Port Orange at much, much greater scale and much more detail start after this project started and completed and are open today. And as the city manager, could attest how many times I've called to say, there's nobody on the project site. What is going on? And when there were people, it was like 1 or 2 people. Now all of a sudden, because the timelines are approaching, there's a massive, undeniable, effort to try to catch up, and I can appreciate that too. And I get that there's challenges. I totally believe that. But we, the council, went and helped with those challenges by creating extensions, and there's been multiple. So I agree that this is about holding a timeline. And sooner or later, you do have to snap the chalk line, because we've got other projects on the horizon and other developers, and we need them to know that the timelines mean something to the taxpayers, and they should, and so the timelines need to be reasonable, but they also need to be upheld as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree.
You good down there, Joe?
Yeah.
All right.
Good, it's clear.
I think along the same lines, item number 6, the 4th Amendment, I don't really have a problem with that, because just the way things are flowing, and I get that, it makes sense to do the bond so that you can do the final work after the project is done. With item 7, I've been involved a little bit in my work on the planning commission with the deadlines, and I've seen you guys in front of us several times. I know the frustration that has occurred in that group and in this group, and yeah, I can't really support releasing the money either. Any other comments?
Just one that I thought of, Mr. City Manager, maybe you could answer this. With regard to item 7, there, not necessarily that the council and that this board would have approved it, but there was another opportunity to request an additional amendment or extension, but that timeline came and went, right, as well? Is that how I understand that?
I'm not sure I understand the extension. At any meeting, they could have requested, and we would have brought in front of you to consider. At this point, anything that has to come in front of the Planning Commission
Right.
and to the City Council would not have met the deadlines of the 21st. So
Gotcha.
that would have required Planning Commission to have considered.
I guess
an
that's
item.
what I was getting at, and that
January
wasn't
would have been the
exercised.
deadline for any extension that would have involved a master development
Okay.
agreement modification or anything that required Planning Commission
Okay.
approval. So that was a couple months back.
Okay. That was my question.
Okay, are we ready to vote on item 6?
Yes.
Which is the Fourth Amendment to the Property Exchange Agreement?
Chase Tremont.
Yes.
Scott Stiltner.
Yes.
Drew Bastian.
Yes.
John Burnett.
Yes.
Dan Schmidt.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. I'm going to correct my previous announcements. I realized that we only had 5 people here. All right, item number 7. Will the clerk call a roll on that?
Sure, just for clarity, this is the motion, Third Amendment.
Third Amendment to the-
escrow
I'm sorry.
Agreement subject to removing the language, releasing the $48,000.
Yeah, that it's not released.
It's not, yep.
Not being released.
Chase Tremont.
Yes.
Scott Stiltner.
Yes.
Drew Bastian.
Yes.
John Burnett.
Yes.
Stan Schmidt.
Yes. Again, that passes on a 5-0 vote. Okay, is there any further business to be brought to the members of the Town Center CRA?
How about me?
Hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned on a 5-0 vote.
We will now convene as the Eastport Town Center, and I will pass the gavel down to Chairman Bastian.
I call the regular meeting of the Eastport Business Center Community Redevelopment Agency to order. We get a roll call, please.
John Burnett.
Present?
Drew Bastian.
Here.
Scott Stiltner.
Here.
Chase Tremont.
Here.
Reed Foley.
Okay, item 2 is election of the chairman. Do I have a motion to nominate a chairman?
Nominate Mr. Drew Bastian.
Second.
Any other nominations for Reed Foley? He's
Nice-
not here.
nice try.
Well, you got to try.
Very good.
Okay, so can I have a, we have the motion in a second. Can we do roll call? Or no, this is just,
Either one.
okay, everybody for the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against the
I heard-
motion, say nay.
I heard you say aye.
Yes, I did. Motion passes. Election of the vice chair. Do I have a motion to nominate a vice chairman?
Move to approve Scott Stiltner as vice chair.
Second.
Second. We have a motion and a proper second. All those for the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against the motion signify by saying nay. Motion passes 4-0. Or 5-4, yeah. Do I have a objection to the notice of the meeting? Hearing no objection, this notice is accepted. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 8th, 2021 regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Second, have a motion and a second. Can we call the roll, please?
Chase Tremont.
Yes.
Scott Stiltner.
Yes.
Drew Bastian.
Yes.
John Burnett.
Yes.
Okay, item 5 is the Eastport Business CRA Annual Report for fiscal year 2020-21.
Move to approve, move to accept the fiscal year 2020-2021 annual report for the Eastport Business Center Community Redevelopment Agency.
Can I get a second? Okay, we have that. Any discussion, any questions or anything on that report? It's in our packets. Any questions from the public? Hearing none, okay, we have nothing. Call for public, final comments from the CRA? Anything final? Believe we are good. Okay. Oh, please call the roll on that.
Dave Tremont?
Duh.
Yes.
Scott Sumner?
Yes.
Drew Bastian?
Yes.
John Burnett?
Yes.
All right. Any further business to be brought before the members of the Eastport Business Center Community Redevelopment Agency? There being none, I will entertain a motion for this meeting to be adjourned.
Move to adjourn the CRA.
Second.
Second, this meeting is adjourned, and we'll return.
You want to have a vote on that motion and second before you,
Those approving the motion signify by saying yes.
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 Against, say no. Meeting's adjourned.
I'll take this back. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item E, we are to the, back to city council portion of the meeting. May I have a motion to approve the agenda for the evening?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for the evening. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda. Any items on the consent agenda anybody would like to discuss? Public comments? I see none. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to approve items 8, 9, and 10 on consent. Call the roll.
Councilmember Tremont?
Yes.
Councilmember Bastian?
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes. 4-0. I almost blew it on the count, just out of habit. That brings us to public participation. Here we go. And we'll start with Mr. Mark Dickinson.
Mark Dickinson, 667 Herbert Street, and I just want to bring you guys' attention. I don't know if you had a chance to review the video of the audio, Mayor, about the 911, or sorry, not the 911, the police, not police chase that occurred almost all the way up to Flagler. Did you get to review that? Okay, no. So basically, you have an officer that initiated a stop on a female that called for help, and she believed people were following her. Well, that turned out to be true because the police then followed her after making, I guess, an alleged legal U-turn. And then one of the sergeants approved a chase, not chase, and said to follow her onto I-95. And this woman was in contact with someone on the phone. They had positive ID on her, and they continued all the way up to mile marker, I think 275, Mayor. She put a bullet in her head. Did you know that? 2 minutes of silence for her. I hope you guys will look into it because pursuits shouldn't be like that for minor traffic infractions. You know, that's the way it shouldn't be. That officer at that time is, I saw a video where he put a gun in the back of someone's back, the sergeant, I should say, and stuck the barrel of the gun in the back of the officer. Sergeants did that in the back of someone's back. It was a convicted felon. The convicted felon got off on all of those charges. The drugs, the possession of a firearm, all of those charges. I know you have to say we have to do things right. Chief Marino that comes in, he has a tough job. I commend him. He called me on the phone one time, and I appreciate that very much. Not many people would do that. But on this one here, they requested the helicopter, requested county. County got involved. A citizen's car got stop-sticked. They had positive ID on this woman. The husband, I believe, was on the phone. That's what the radio traffic sounded like. Her tires were stop-sticked. They called it out as a signal 20. Basically, that means mentally ill over the police radio. When they had positive ID, they could turn around, write a summons, get it if that person was not having a mental crisis, get them on a better day. But when those stop sticks probably flattened her tires, she thinks everybody is after her already. That's according to what the radio traffic is. She did the ultimate price and put a gun to her head. And the officers have to see that. We have to see that. And that's where we're at. It's just very sad. Probably should have been on 95. I know there used to be some practice about that. And it's absolutely crazy. So I hope you guys will look into it. And that's really all I have. Okay?
Thank you. And we have public person.
This is a reminder for the council to discuss the 2 weeks ago comments and concerns about the meltdown of the IT infrastructure of the county, or of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Robin, did I have any others? Okay, council comments. Let's start at this side this week. Drew?
I'm good, Mayor.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but did you have anything to say? We know you're good.
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Scott?
Two quick things. One is I've had a couple of calls. The Public Works Department, and I confirmed this with the city manager today. So we are aware that there are a lot of places throughout the city that have some broken sidewalks that need to be fixed and some need to be replaced and things like that. And they're all working on that, and that is taking a little bit of time, and there's a process for that, but we're going to get to that. But in the short term, one of the things that they're doing that has led to some calls is they are using asphalt in certain applications where they can make it safer in the meantime. So I think the concern was, is that the permanent fix? And that's not the permanent fix. That's just the temporary solution to try to make it as safe as possible. So if folks are seeing that, they can rest easy that there will be a permanent fix with concrete, but that's just a temporary solution to try to help that out. Sometimes they can grind some of the spots as the temporary solution, and other times that's not going to be something that they can do, so they may see some asphalt. The other thing I just wanted to mention was last weekend there was an incident over in Tampa where I think most everybody has probably seen it now, where a Florida Highway Patrol trooper named Trooper Shook took an incredible, remarkable, selfless act to save countless amounts of lives, and made that decision in a split second. If anybody's not familiar, there was an event in Tampa where there was a run, like I think it was a 10K run, and they had closed down part of the Skyway Bridge, so runners, 8,000 that had been busted the other side, could safely run across the bridge as part of the scenic part of the run. And a drunk driver went around some barricades, barreling down that portion of what is an interstate or state highway, and was headed toward that crowd. And several folks had tried to make that stop and get that driver off. Clearly not in the right state of mind, and that person didn't choose to stop or do any of those things, and it appeared the intent, or what could be assumed the intent, was to drive right into that crowd of thousands and thousands of people. But this trooper made a very split-second decision to crash her vehicle into the path of a high-speed drunk driver, and the video is remarkable. She is okay, but I just wanted to commend her from seeing something like that I don't know that I've ever seen at that level in law enforcement in my career or in a really long time. And it just reminds me that our public safety personnel have to make decisions in split seconds, and they don't always have all the information. It would be great, but there is no crystal ball that rides in the front seat of a patrol car or a fire rescue vehicle that tells them what's gonna happen. They have to think through the hundreds and hundreds of scenarios, and they are human beings. They are not robots. They don't get fed instantly statistics like a football coach does that says this is the play you want to run on 4th and goal. They don't know. They've always got to think the worst, and they've always got to go on a lot of instincts. And so I just praise those folks that are out there each and every day doing that job the absolute best they can. And always remember, sometimes it works out for the best, and sometimes it would have worked out better in other ways, but they're still human beings, and they have to live with those efforts and those sacrifices that they make, and so do their families. So, but kudos to Trooper Shook. What an amazing thing that she did, and it just is a reminder of how fast things happen on the street. It's always easy to second guess later. It's always easy to read the news report, watch the news media, watch the YouTube video, watch the countless social media, couch experts, second guess all of that stuff. But it's extremely difficult to make those decisions in split seconds, and thank God we've got people willing to do that. So that's all I got.
Thanks.
Good.
You're not gonna
Well
try to
said.
follow that?
Nope, well said.
No, I don't wanna follow that, and I'm not going to. Wayne, see me afterwards, got a couple things for you in regards to things that we've heard tonight. That brings us to board appointments, interviews, and reports. This is an advisory committee for the TPO, Mr. Bobby Ball.
Good evening, Bobby Ball with the CSC for the TPO. We had our monthly meeting, and a lot of the same kind of stuff. I know Reed's not here tonight, so but real quickly, we had a presentation previous month on the LRTP update, and we actually now formally approved that, I guess, to go to the TPO board, and that really involves I-95 and US 1 and I-95 and LPGA are the two areas. And then we also had an update on the priority projects list that were received by TPO staff, and I think there were 13 projects, and so I'm on the subcommittee that'll rank them, so hopefully the Port Orange project will get ranked well. And then speaking of 95, I know you've asked for an update quarterly on that, and I asked for staff to provide some input, and they said they'd get back to me. Preliminarily, the answer is we had a public workshop not too long ago, and also I believe she'd indicated that the funding for construction was expedited last fall with the stimulus packages that came out. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm waiting for her to confirm that for me. That's all I've got.
Did they decide on the actual design that they wanted to go with? I know there were 3 or 4.
I think so, but I don't know which
I
one.
can't
it is.
remember if
Yeah,
they
I'll
ever.
go back and look.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious.
I'll update you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Anything else? Thanks, Bobby. Item 13, Golf Advisory Board appointments. We have 2 openings. We have 2 people that have capably served, and we have 2 applicants. Happen to be those same 2 people. I would entertain nominations for those 2 said qualified people.
Move to reappoint Jane Taylor and Richard Lee to the Golf Advisory Board.
I'll second that.
We have a nomination to reappoint Jane Taylor and Rich Lee to the Golf Advisory Board appointments. Apparently, they've liked the pay and benefits a lot.
I guess so.
Do we have any other nominations? With that, nominations are closed. Would anyone here care to speak to it or try to talk us out of it? There being none, council, any comments?
No? Okay.
Well, let your votes be your voice then. Call the roll.
Councilmember Tremont.
Yes.
Councilmember Bastian.
Yes.
Mayor Stiltner.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes. Jane Taylor and Rich Lee are reappointed. Thank you for your service. With that, the public hearing portion of the meeting is now open. Second reading of ordinance number 2022-3. Why is my start scrolling on its own? Ordinance 2022-3 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia, Florida, amending sections 2-57 related to the public records management of the electronic information systems utilized by city board members, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2022-3.
I'll second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item's open on the floor for discussion. Second reading. Council comments or questions?
Nope.
There being none, this is one of the more straightforward things that have come before us in public hearing lately.
Yeah.
Any public comments or questions?
Yes, I do have comments and questions. Today, you're the legislature for the city of Port Orange. There's 5 councilmen for the city of Port Orange. I only see 4 in front of me. The 5th one is out, so the 1/5 of Port Orange is not voting on this ordinance. Another, I asked for the council to ask for a 2-week delay so people can think on the response from this. The question is to the city manager, city clerk, city attorney, and IT, but I think he wandered away. To my opinion, what it looks like is the weakening of the public records law. So I'd like to have clerk, city manager, and the attorney speak on what changes are made and how does it affect the public to find out, to obtain public records, and especially the text messages, because a lot of stuff can go on, but no one will ever know. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Back to council. Wayne, to my knowledge, all this does is make the system work easier because of the use of electronics, and that it clears up language addressing it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Clarifies that the boards have the same rules that we have.
Okay. Any other comments, council? Call the roll.
Councilmember Tremont.
Yes.
Councilmember Bastian.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes. 4-0. Brings us back to item 15. The recommended motions to approve the development order modification of the final plat and plans for Phase 2 of the Woodhaven subdivision, and I'm sure that we're going to get a recommendation to open up both items.
There's only one item, sir.
There's only one? Okay,
Yes.
well, I guess we're opening up one item. May I have the motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion.
Sorry. I think I got
And
that
who are
wrong.
you?
Hey, Penelope Cruz, Planning. So last August 2021, we were before you with the final plat and plans for Woodhaven Phase 2. That was approved. They have actually started some of their site clearing. That went through that full process. After that approval, the applicants came back and requested a modification to those plans, so that's what's before you here tonight. What is included in that modification is a reduction in the number of units by 54 single-family units, and expansion of the stormwater ponds in the northeast and the southwest. This, according to the applicant, is primarily to reduce the amount of fill dirt that is required for the grading in the subdivision. There are no changes to the townhome portion of the development, and there are no changes to any of the required buffers or any of the other portions of the development. The proposed modification decreases wetland impacts, increases wetland buffers, and increases overall preservation. So staff is recommending approval, and the applicant is here to address any questions you might have. Oops, this is the wrong presentation, sorry.
Okay. Any questions of staff? Does the applicant want to speak to it?
Oh, yeah, he does.
Do you want to come up and talk us out of it?
He just wants you to earn your keep.
You're on the clock, right?
Yeah, Dick Smith, ICI Homes, 2379 Bevel Road, Daytona Beach. Also here tonight, Luke Killick with Zevco and Associates, and Bobby Ball, if for any technical questions. I don't really have anything to add. It's not our preference to reduce the number of lots, but it does make it a better project. It does reduce the development costs on a per lot basis, and generally, again, make it a better project.
Reduction in density.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I was hearing what I was reading, because it's very unusual to have a developer come before us to say, we want to actually reduce the amount of homes we're going to put out there, and improve the drainage.
Oh, I had to read it twice.
I know,
Yeah.
and protect
Very rare.
more of the environment out there. So this is a pretty easy one, and I appreciate that, because that's not something that happens a lot, and so that's going to garnish a lot of support in a lot of different areas, Dick. So appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for Mr. Smith? There being none, thank you. Would anyone here from the public care to speak to the item? There being none, back to us. Council, final comments or questions? There being none, there's a motion to approve on the floor. Call the roll.
Councilmember Tremont.
Yes.
Councilmember Bastian.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-0. You're getting to me one person sooner, so all of a sudden, oh, that's why that pause. Item 16 is approval of the conditional use extension request from Christ the King Community Church. Recommended motions to approve the conditional use extension for the additional 2 years, subject to the conditions in the staff report. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. The item's open on the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Gideon Smith, Planning. So as stated, this application is a conditional use extension request to allow Christ the King Community Church to continue operating outdoors for an additional 2 years while they construct their permanent facility on the property. The applicant is also requesting consideration to allow a coffee vendor or a food truck to set up on the property during these church services. So the subject property is located on the southeast corner of Spruce Creek Road and Central Park Boulevard, just south of All Children's Park. The church originally received conditional use approval to allow for these outdoor services and other church-related programs on subject property back in July of 2020. Over the past 2 years, the church has had a site plan prepared, which was approved in December of 2021. The church was aware that the conditional use would expire this coming summer and initially anticipated construction to begin earlier this year. However, delays in the construction industry have made it difficult for the church to get the necessary building materials to start construction. So as a result, they now anticipate construction to begin later this fall. I would like to note that the applicant has also indicated that they prefer to wait to start construction until all the materials arrive on site in an effort to minimize the impacts to the surrounding neighborhoods. So because of these delays, the applicant is here tonight requesting a 2-year extension of the conditional use with the addition of allowing for a coffee vendor or a food truck for church services. Planning Commission considered this application at their February meeting and recommended approval subject to the conditions outlined in the report, and staff is also recommending approval subject to those same conditions. And with that concludes my presentation. The applicant is here and can address you and answer any questions you may have.
Before we do that, any questions of staff?
Nice job.
Thanks, Gideon.
Thank you.
Good job.
Why don't we hear from the applicant? It seems like he's got 1 or 2 people here that might be in support of.
1 or 20 people?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'll try to keep it brief. I know that you know who I am, but I'm Scott Kirshner. For those that may not know, I live at 1723 Creekwater Boulevard in Port Orange. Glad to live in Port Orange. Glad to be the pastor of Christ the King Community Church. We're so blessed. We've been at this for 12 years now and have had just a wonderful gathering of people in our faith community. We, of course, acquired the property in 2019. We're so excited to have a place of our own, have made significant improvements to this property that I think benefits the whole community and, of course, the surrounding neighbors. We started having our first service out there 2 years ago this month, and who knew what was coming in the pandemic and how it would affect our entire world. And so we, by God's goodness and His grace, have been able to meet outdoors for 2 years now and grow and thrive as a church and as a faith community. And we have made significant improvements, as I said, to the property. Excited always to see our neighbors come out and use it. We are asking for this extension to continue to hold services outdoors while we await the finalizing of our loan and the beginning of our construction of our first home on this property. So any questions that you might have, I'm happy to answer for you or anyone from the public.
Questions, council?
No, I don't see any issues. I mean, just a comment. Noticing over the past 2-3 years what you've done to that property, it has been amazing and it's been transformed. And so, I don't have an issue with it because you're a good neighbor, a community place. The property's there and you've improved it. So, I don't have any problems with what he's asking.
It's a nice park-like setting.
Absolutely. It looks great.
Scott?
Yeah, I would echo that. I think that the one issue that I think you're going to struggle with is that I think that people are always going to want to be able to have some services outside seasonally.
Yeah.
It seems to be a huge hit. I mean, I don't know that even I thought that. I mean, I realized how pretty the property was, but just the atmosphere, the being under the oak canopies, it's amazing. And I've heard that from a lot of people in the community. And then the other thing is that it has become a very popular place for people to go take family pictures when there's even not church going on there because of the way you guys have cleaned up the property and different things that you'll have out there from time to time. And I just think that speaks volumes to how the neighborhood feels about the church family as their neighbors.
Yeah.
In fact, the gentleman that just moved in immediately to the south made it a point to tell me how much he enjoys being right next door. And so, good job with that, and everybody within the church family on how they care about the community, and they feel like it's not just church property, but it's actually an extension and part of the community itself. But I do think that long term, and I know probably you'll have something to do with that, but long term, there's still going to have to be times where folks are going to want to sit outside.
I'm open to anything.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm open to anything.
That was a new thing for me and my family. And at first, when you said this is what you wanted to do, I was like, it's Florida, sitting outside doesn't always work, but you have definitely made it work, and it's a special thing, and the community around you and the neighborhood seems to really have embraced that for the most part, for sure.
I appreciate those comments so much.
Chase?
I just want Christmas lights on every tree.
Oh, yeah.
Out there. That's all. I mean, it's not a quid pro quo or anything. I'm going to still support it.
Let's see what we can
it's
do.
such a wonderful location for a church, but also I know in your heart, and what you do for the community. I got no problem.
Yeah, the tree lighting budget needs to probably increase, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of become an iconic on Spruce Creek Road.
Yeah, you kind of set that standard pretty high right there.
Hey, I'm
yeah.
happy to be the standard.
Yeah.
It is amazing the number of well-decorated homes in that region of the city, so actually you were coming up to everybody else's standard. So
Okay.
it is beautiful to see.
Thank you.
Let me add my
Appreciate it.
comments. I have no comments because they've said it all.
Okay.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Would anyone here care to speak to the item or try to talk us out of it? There being none, council, final comments? There being none, call the roll.
Councilmember Fremont.
Yes.
Councilmember Bashir.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-0. The public hearing portion of the meeting is closed. That brings us to the regular agenda portion of the meeting. Item 17.
Take care.
Ordinance number 2022-5. An ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, amending Chapter 9, Article 2 of the Land Development Code to allow funds from the city's tree bank to be used for educational outreach programs and tree giveaways, providing repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Can I get a motion for approval?
Yeah, sorry about that. Move to approve ordinance 2022-5.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second on the floor. The item is open.
Penelope Cruz Planning. So the item before you is an amendment to the Land Development Code that would allow funds in the city's tree bank to be used for educational outreach and tree giveaway programs. Currently, the way the Land Development Code is written, those tree bank funds can only be used for plantings of trees and ancillary uses associated with those plantings on public land. So approval of this amendment would free up some of those funds to be able to use for be used by the city or the Environmental Advisory Board or any other sponsoring organization for tree giveaway events and associated education that would go along with that. If this item is approved at second reading, it would come back with a resolution as well that would establish a city policy about exactly how to use those funds, what portion of it can be used for tree giveaways, what types of trees, and all the requirements to outline that policy. So if this is approved tonight, the second reading would come back with another item to outline on that. Any questions?
I have one. Who came up with such a magically great idea? This is fantastic.
It actually came out of our Environmental Advisory Board. We had a tree giveaway in the past, but it was sponsored, I think, by a private entity, so we haven't had any for a while.
Yeah.
Arbor Day's coming up, or not Arbor Day, the Earth Day event's coming up
Perfect.
soon, and they would love to be able to put on a tree giveaway. We're a tree city. So this would allow us to utilize some of those funds for that.
And that's the point, that our environment, this is something our Environmental Advisory Board is bringing forward, that if it's an activist board that wants to make a difference, and we're looking for ways to do that. Council, questions?
Oh, this is a winner.
Yeah, I don't really have any questions, but it reminded me something that I've been wanting to reach out to Wayne, and I know he'll talk with staff, but we have some areas too around the city where we have roadways and medians that belong to the state or the county, and I'd like to look at some opportunities I don't want to do stuff where we got to go put in a bunch of irrigation and redesign the whole median, but I know there are trees that are drought tolerant that are acceptable for medians and things like that, and like the Williamson corridor, parts of you know, whether it be Nova, US 1, wherever, places where we can maybe identify might be good opportunities to do a couple of things and put a few trees with the, I don't know what they call those, like water donuts when they first put them in. Once they're watered in, they're pretty much good,
Yeah,
you know. So
establish 'em.
I'd like to look at some of that and see, you know, what can we do. We may be able to even get the Environmental Advisory Board and some volunteers involved in a project like that. But you know, it would look nice. It would be nice. So.
And those are things we can talk about
Yeah.
when we meet with them.
Yep.
Yeah, if there's specific areas, if you could
Sure.
just relay that and we can look into
Yeah.
that.
Certainly.
Anybody else? Chase, you got anything? Would anyone here care to speak to the item? And who are you, young lady?
Good afternoon, Kat Atwood, 872 Sugar Grove Court in Port Orange. I sit on the EAB, and I'm glad you're pleased with that. What our intention is, should this get approved, is to not only make these trees available, but the education that goes along with it. We want to make sure that people know that we can better our environment by using native plants and trees, and stay away from fertilizers that are just causing harm to our drainage and our water systems. So this is all part of a bigger picture of our goal in the EAB, and I know that we're working on getting a meeting with council, and those are some of the things that we'll have on the agenda to speak with you with. So I just wanted you to know the rest of the big picture we're hoping for, but we were hoping that maybe we could get something done for this upcoming Spring Brew Fest, but there wasn't enough time. So we're going to aim for maybe the next Family Days to have this available. We have reached out to some speakers to come in and man a tent so we can put some media out to the citizens as they come through, and the residents can pick up pamphlets to take home that talk about proper fertilization. And as with the trees, if that gets approved and we can give trees out, they'll get a flyer with, with each, I'm Italian, I talk with each tree that tells them what that tree is, what the requirements are for safely growing that tree, how large that tree is going to get, what the root system is like. So total education is what we're aiming for. So
Perfect.
thank you for your time.
That'd be good.
Thank you. Awesome. Anyone else on the item? There being none, back to council. Final comments or questions? There being none, call the roll.
Councilmember Tremont.
Yes.
Councilmember Bastian.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-0. And it's items 18 and 19 we want to open together. The recommended motion for item 18 is to approve the Fourth Amendment to the Property Exchange Agreement, referencing the Cardwell Funeral Homes property, authorizing the city manager, the city attorney, to finalize the post-closing agreement, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign all necessary documents on behalf of the city in furtherance of the transfer of the Cardwell Funeral Home property. May I have the motion?
So moved.
Second.
And the item 19, the recommended motion is to approve the Third Amendment in the escrow agreement to subject to removing the language releasing the $48,000 cash bond and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to sign all necessary documents related to the escrow agreement in furtherance of the transfer of the Cardwell Funeral Home property. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a proper motion for items 18 and 19. Both items are open and on the floor for discussion. Council comments or questions? This is what we covered in the CRA meeting earlier in the evening.
Right.
Same, yep.
There being none, anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, back to us. Final comments or questions? On item 18, the Fourth Amendment to the Property Exchange Agreement, call the roll.
Councilmember Tremont.
Yes.
Councilmember Bastian.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-0. And on item 19, the Third Amendment to the Escrow Agreement, call the roll.
Councilmember Tremont.
Yes.
Councilmember Bastian.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-0. Additional items, City Attorney?
None tonight.
Excellent report, thank you, Matt. City Manager?
Yes, sir. One item. I'd like to request
I
council.
liked his report better, but go ahead.
I'm on a roll of having something every week now. I'd like to request council's permission to waive bid requirements for uniform purchases for our upcoming recreation, softball, baseball season. Some of you may have heard we've had some issues COVID related to volatility of pricing of the uniforms. So when our contracts expired last year, we have run 2 different invitations to bid and have not successfully come up with anyone willing to do contracts with us over the long term due to the volatility of pricing of uniforms. We looked at piggybacking other contracts that exist in the area. None of the people who were under contract were willing to piggyback with us because of the size and scale of our rec leagues. We have one of the biggest leagues in the entire county. So what we had gone to doing was individual low quotes for the prices of the uniform, which was working well while we were working on other invitations to bid. What happened for the baseball season is that we had a low quote on uniforms from someone who was within my range to authorize the purchase price. These people, when we got ready to turn around and order, then raised the price, which made them no longer the cheapest price. So the low price for us becomes somebody who we've already done uniforms with during this fiscal year, which exceeds my purchase authority of $25,000 by about $8,000. So what I'm asking tonight, we have a legitimate agenda item on April 5th to come forward with a formal process for the rest of the year related to uniform purchases. But for tonight, if we can order those uniforms tomorrow, we'd be able to have them in time for the baseball season to start, baseball and softball. So if you would authorize us to exceed that limit for this one purchase for uniforms for baseball and softball this time, that will allow us to start baseball on time. And on the 5th, you will see an agenda item that talks about how this process will work going throughout the rest of the year.
You know me and how much I hate to take any action that has not been on an agenda and noticed for the public. However, I do recognize that this is time sensitive. I recognize that it can impact the start of rec baseball, and I do recognize that delay can cost us money too. This is one of those rare exceptions in which I would be willing to entertain a motion. But as a general practice, I just want you to know, I hate it. Just saying.
Had the vendor not changed their price on us, we had a process.
I get it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's 2 things. It's the vendor changing the price, but it's also the popularity of our program and now kind of coming out of COVID. A lot of folks who have probably held off on being in those programs the last couple of years are getting back
Here
in.
we go.
And there's more of them now, and so I totally get that.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's not something we prefer to do, but it's the right decision in this instance because of the circumstances. It's definitely the right thing to do.
Chase.
Agreed, 100%. Yeah, not something I prefer either, but well said.
Wayne, can you repeat the recommended motion?
Recommend permission to waive bid requirements for uniform purchase for the upcoming baseball, softball season to authorize us to expend in excess of the $25,000 limit of the manager.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, council, any other comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Tremont.
Yes.
Councilmember Bastian.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silver.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-0. Anything else, Wayne?
No, sir.
City Council Committee reports, fire pension, Councilman Foley is out. First Step Shelter, Councilman Tremont.
No update, no meeting this month.
Okay. Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce. The mayor-manager meeting with them is this Friday. I want to talk to them on a couple of transportation issues. And I would also like to talk to them to see if they know anybody that they can reach out to that would help us fill the board openings on the Eastport CRA. So Wayne, don't let me forget that we want to talk about that, because and of course that goes out for anybody listening right now. We have 2 board appointments, 2 board seat openings on the Eastport CRA, and if you live or operate a business in that CRA, generally speaking, you could be eligible to run and be appointed to that CRA. And we have 2 board openings right now, and I'm uncomfortable with the amount of time those board seats have been open. We really need to get them filled with qualified people. So that's all my report on the Port Orange South Daytona Chamber. Do we have anything else come before us this evening? Wayne, we get together next week for a workshop?
Yes, sir.
And we begin at what time?
Sorry, next week's a
Special meeting.
Special meeting and workshop. And we get together at what time?
5:30.
5:30.
5:30.
Next Tuesday.
So that means we will see you all then, next week. Have a good night, everybody.